Once we've done work on engagement and we have the client comfortably talking to us about, various issues that may be going on, we want to move into formulating a goal or a target behavior that we're going to address. And that needs to be done collaboratively. And here's where, a concept that's called guiding or, providing information, et cetera, it becomes useful. I said earlier that motivational interviewing is not authoritarian, but it does not shape out the expertise of the practitioner. These are two different things. So we want that knowledge in there. That knowledge and expertise is a part of the collaborative partnership. So in trying to get on track to a goal, one may begin to listen to what the client has said previously. For example, I haven't done the medication the 4 times as you suggested, or that we thought I would last time, but I have taken it more than I used to from the last time I came in. And so if that's where the client began to go with an open question, that's really good, because now the client is really bringing up this topic rather than the doctor saying, which is also an option. We need to discuss your medication today. So if the client had a different agenda, say the client had an agenda of feeling very tired or lethargic, and that's really what they wanted to address today, then the doctor might also bring in their agenda and say, well, I'd be happy, we can work on that and talk about that. But where we left off last time, I'd really like to pick that up. And would that be okay with you if we continue to see how the medication is going and where you want to go with that? Okay, so that if the client is not bringing in a target, then the doctor would bring it in. But also take into account what the client's concerns are and try to have perhaps more than one goal. Or maybe the 2 goals somehow blend together at some point. So there are a number of ways of giving information and advice and expertise and passing that along to a client in a collaborative manner, and one that would, work together on the goal and have the benefit of the client's expertise and their knowledge and information about how this is affecting them, helping them, working against them, and the doctor's expertise. And one process is called elicit-provide-elicit, which is a collaborative way of giving information, and I'll go through a little example of that. For one thing, when a doctor wants to give information and advice, in this process, they would want to know what the client already knows about it. So say we're discussing medication and the client is feeling 2 ways about a medication. On the one hand, it's helping some of the symptoms. On the other hand, the side effects are really interfering with their life. So rather than the doctor saying, well, you really need to take this medication, or, it's really the best one for you, et cetera, the doctor would reflect that they understand that on the one hand, the person can see that it's helpful. On the other hand, it really interferes with their life and makes it hard for them to stick with the regime. Now, the doctor when the doctor gives advice or information, they ask permission first. That's always the case in motivational interviewing. So they might say something, would you like to know more about that medication, some of the different doses that might be used, or other medications that might be useful for you? Then if the client says yes, then the doctor would give information about that. They might give information verbally in a pamphlet and a handout. Then that would be the providing element. Okay, so we have elicited from the client what they already know. The client might say, I really don't know anything about this medication. I was put on it a few years ago. Everybody keeps trying to get me to take it. And all I know is that I have to, when I need to get things done, I have to stop taking it because it interferes with my life. All right, so that would be the eliciting element, and the client gives the response, and then the doctor asks permission to give the information and advice, gives the information and advice. The client looks at it. They look at it together, perhaps, and it comes to some consensus about what it's about, and then the doctor elicits again. So it's elicit, provide, elicit. How do you think that would work in your case? What do you think might be best for you? what do you think your next step might be from here? So that, and that's really in contrast to advice giving, whereby the doctor says, this medication and this dose is the best for you to take. And I know it's not comfortable and it's interfering with things, but this is really the best that you need to do. Okay, motivational interviewing really can be implemented in many areas of primary health care, including diabetes, smoking cessation, weight loss, and many others. Well, each of these illnesses requires some form of behavior change in diet and medication regimes. Some of them have a lot of personal background. They're habitual. People prefer to live the way they are. Some of them are actually addictions, like smoking and certain eating habits, so that they're not easy areas for people to change. And another thing about a number of these health concerns is that the immediate dangers are not always present. For example, a diabetic could have high blood sugars, but they don't really feel sick. So it's not really until way down the road when the nerve ends are, damaged, or they could have a stroke or a heart attack. So that also makes it more difficult for the person to actually implement immediate changes when they're not really experiencing the negative effect. So all of these illnesses really require information, education, understanding about the risks, the long-term effects, etc. And this, again, is where the elicit-provide-elicit strategy can take place. It's useful in many different areas. And asking the client, are you familiar with the long-term effects of uncontrolled blood sugar? And the client, well, I know, some people, lose their eyesight. They might know one thing, okay. And then again, we go into asking permission. Would you like me to explain to you some of the others? The client says, yes, I would. Now the doctor would provide. So one would give verbal information, and also it's usually recommended that there's some kind of written information that's also provided about an educational topic or a medication or whatever it may be, because it seems more legitimate, and real for the person to have something in writing, that actually describes that. So then you have the elicit-provide. The physician now provides information about the long-term health effects of the person, and then looks at it together perhaps, and then asks the client, elicits again. What do you think about that? How does that fit in with your situation? What are your thoughts about this? So again, the elicit provider, and then the client might say, well, I really wasn't aware that many things could happen to you. Could actually die from it, or whatever the person might say. So then you're getting into actually change talk areas here, so that it's a, what I hear you saying now is that you really weren't aware of how dangerous it could be in the long run if you don't take care of this now. So you begin to reinforce that, et cetera. So in all of these different illnesses, that is one way in which they are addressed, and that is that the client becomes a partner in exploring and learning with the physician rather than just being told different things. And another thing is that it really sets the tone for the client to talk about their reasons to, comply with the needs to take care of a certain ailment, quit smoking, for example, to address their diabetes, lose weight, and that we are in a position where we're going to try to elicit those reasons again from the client, which will result in less discord in the relationship. And I think it's quite well known that empathic listening in all fields yields results far beyond telling or confronting people. So that this empathic process of listening, of trying to help the person get to reasons that would motivate them to change their lifestyle, so that they're not, their sugars aren't high, and losing weight, I think, it's so important. One of the things that I study and teach a lot are called the stages of change. That helps you to measure the readiness of the individual to change. And I think it's a wonderful revolutionary model. So that one of the things that the founder of that model talks about is that when a person makes a decision to change life habits, or such as smoking, or eating differently, or eating differently to control blood sugar, whatever that might be, then it's going to take a lot of day-to-day determination to actually do that. One has to wake up in the morning and say, okay, how am I doing this today? Now I have to start with the shot, not eat that, eat this instead, or not smoke, chew the gum. However I'm going to get through this day. It takes determination, focus, energy. And that kind of determination and focus and energy is not likely to be done with a motivator that really doesn't mean very much to the person. My mother wants me to do it. Versus if I don't do this, I could get my feet cut off. I don't want to live without my feet. I have to face up to this now. Or if I don't do this, I'm not going to live very long. Or I'm endangering my children as I keep smoking. If they get into the car, they're inhaling the smoke. Their health is in danger. Their clothing smells of tobacco when they go to school. So that these are reasons why that would get me to address this on a day-to-day basis with the determination that's needed. So I think that's one of the real important elements of the model and the communication style of motivational interviewing, and that is really getting to why would this person do this? And although, this comes up from time to time, that motivational interviewing takes longer, in the end, where one stays within a relationship where the client is really not following up, really not ever touching upon the real motivations to do that, trying to do things that other people want them to do or are telling them to do, can be so much more lengthy and ongoing without results, and frustrations for both the client and the practitioner, whereby motivational interviewing from that perspective is much more expedient, much faster, and it actually provides results for many people.